I learned English from scratch. True story plus hot tips. I was so afraid of English that I couldn't even open my mouth to say a word. Lynn stood in front of the gate of Los Angeles International Airport amidst a sea of people speaking English. She tightened her grip on her backpack, her heart pounding, and that sentence echoed in her head like the most painful confession of her life. For years she had studied English in Vietnam, but now in front of an airport employee asking her a very simple question, Lynn could only stand there frozen. I was stunned when I heard anyone speak English. I thought I would never learn it. The sounds around her seemed to echo in Lynn's ears. Announcement speakers, voices, the sound of suitcase wheels, the voices of airport employees. Everything was in English, fast, clear, very different from the textbooks she had studied. Lynn wanted to answer, really wanted to, but her mouth was dry, her head was empty, and her heart was pounding as if it was about to jump out of her chest. She tried to get out a few words. Student, first time, America. The airport staff looked at Lynn, smiled slightly, then spoke slowly. But after just the next 3 sentences, Lynn was confused, not understanding anything. That was the moment Lynn felt completely small. And at that moment, she knew that the journey to study in the U.S. was not only about studying the major she liked, but also a battle with herself, with the fear of English that had haunted her for so many years. But everything changed one day, a day that Lynn could never have imagined would become the biggest turning point in her life. At that time, Lynn had just arrived at the school dormitory. She was tired, exhausted, and almost wanted to cry after hours of struggling with the immigration procedures. She put down her suitcase, sighed, and said to herself, "Maybe I am not suited to live here. In America, everything is so difficult." Just then, the door to the room opened. A blonde girl with a bright smile walked in. "Hi, you must be Lynn, right? I'm Emily, your roommate." Lynn was stunned. Emily spoke English quickly, but her eyes were extremely warm, like the first ray of sunshine shining into the darkest corner of Lynn's heart. Lynn nodded slightly, trying to respond. "Yes, I'm Lynn. Nice to meet." Emily laughed loudly, but not in a mocking way. It was a welcoming smile, a smile of kindness. "Don't worry, your English is totally fine. We will practice together. I can help you anytime." Just one sentence, but it was as if someone had put a light in Lynn's hand. For the first time in many years, Lynn felt hope. Lynn didn't know at that time that Emily was the one who would help her overcome her fear of English. She didn't know that thanks to this meeting, her journey of learning English from zero would open up. A challenging but also magical journey. And here is that story. Lynn's story of learning English from scratch. A story of fear, failure, standing up, and finding herself in a faraway land of America. Part 2. The context and moment that changed Lynn's life. The first Lushrinisur Russasurman Dasaman was Sorn. Yes, in America were not easy for Lynn. Everything was new, strange, and too fast. Lynn still clearly remembers the first morning she stepped out of the dormitory. The California sky was blue. The golden sunlight poured down on each tree. Students were bustling around with cups of coffee in hand. For others, it might have been a beautiful day. But for Lynn, it was a day full of anxiety. The thing that haunted her the most was not the lessons, not the pressure of tuition, but English. Every time she heard someone speak English, Lynn felt like her head was covered in a layer of fog. She heard the sounds but didn't understand them. She knew they were talking, but it was as if they were speaking in another world. A fateful morning, a simple question that changed her life. That day, Lynn walked to the bus stop near her school. She remembered that she had an appointment to do her new student papers, and she had to be there on time. The bus arrived, Lynn got on the bus, and sat in the middle row. She sighed in relief. Just go to the right place. But fate seemed to want to test her once more. A middle-aged American woman got on the bus and sat next to Lynn. She was wearing an elegant office outfit, holding a tablet in her hand. A moment later, she turned around, smiling friendly. "Excuse me, do you know if this bus goes to Broadway Street?" Lynn heard every word clearly, but her brain couldn't process the meaning. Broadway Street. She had heard it before when watching movies, but now everything was white. She wanted to say she didn't know, but in her head all she could hear was, "Speak, say something. Don't be silent." Lynn's mouth opened, then closed. Opened again, then closed again. She looked at Lynn, understood the situation, and spoke more slowly. "It's okay. It's fine." Then she turned away. Lynn felt like someone had slapped her self-esteem hard. Such a simple question, but she couldn't answer. Not because she didn't know the way, but because she didn't know how to speak. Her face was burning. Her hands were shaking. She looked down at her old sneakers, trying to hold back her tears. In that moment, Lynn felt smaller than ever. All those years of studying English in Vietnam, her test scores weren't bad, but now she couldn't even utter the words, "Sorry, I don't know." The shame was too great. The last straw, when shame turns into determination. When down GX, Lynn plopped down on a stone bench on campus. She pulled up her mask, bowed her head, and let the tears run down her face. There was only one thought in her mind. I can't live in America like this. If I don't study hard, I'll be left behind. Forever. She remembered her parents saving every penny to send her to study abroad. She remembered the dreams she had drawn. She remembered Emily's gentle smile, her roommate who said, "I can help you anytime." The shame was no longer a pain. It became a motivation. A smoldering fire began to burn inside Lynn. Small but strong. She stood up, wiped her tears, breathed deeply, and for the first time in her life, Lynn was truly determined. I will learn English from scratch. I can do it. I have to do it. The second encounter. The one who opened the first door that evening, Lynn told Emily about the bus incident. She spoke slowly, haltingly, and mispronounced words, but Emily listened patiently. After telling the story, Lynn sighed and mumbled in awkward English. I feel stupid. I can't speak anything. Emily put her hand on Lynn's shoulder. Hey, you're not stupid. You just haven't learned the right way. English is not about books. It's about using it. You just need the right start. Right start? Lynn asked. Emily smiled. Yes. Tomorrow I'll take you to my favorite cafe, and I'll show you a method that changed my English when I was little. Lynn looked at Emily, her eyes filled with doubt and hope. She had no idea that the date at the cafe the next day would be a real turning point, where she learned about the effective, natural, and stress-free method of learning English: reading, listening, shadowing, thinking aloud. But that night, Lynn only knew one thing. I had started. No more running away. No more shame. No more self-blame. There was only a new Lynn, ready to face English, America herself. Part 3. The Initial Challenge. I know nothing. The first day Emily took Lynn to a small cafe near the school. The early morning sunlight shone through the glass window, creating a beautiful stream of light like a painting. The customers in the cafe were all students and office workers, everyone holding laptops, chatting animatedly, in English. Lynn stood right at the door, suddenly stopping. Each conversation, each laugh, each drink order, all were like hundreds of arrows shot straight into her heart. She looked at Emily hesitantly. Emily, I don't think I can do this. Emily put her hand on Lynn's back, her voice gentle. You can. And even if you can't yet, that's okay. We are here to learn, right? Lynn nodded, though her heart was pounding. 1. The first lesson and the first shock. Emily opened her laptop, pulled up a simple English story in the form of graded reading, only about 300 words. She smiled. Let's start with something easy. Lynn looked at the paragraph. Simple sentences. Anna is a student. She lives in London. She likes books. But when she read it out loud, Lynn's mouth refused to cooperate. She read the sound lives as livaso. She read the word London as London, just like in Vietnamese. And likes books sounded like Lai Cook. Emily smiled, not mockingly, but encouragingly. Perfect beginning. Now let's fix it. Then Emily read each word, each sound, each beat. Lynn repeated, but every time she came to a new word, she was confused. Sometimes her tongue felt tied. Sometimes her throat choked with embarrassment. After nearly 15 minutes, Lynn sighed. Emily, my pronunciation is terrible. Emily shook her head firmly. No, your pronunciation is not terrible. It is new. You're training new muscles. That was the first time Lynn heard that explanation. Training new muscles. She suddenly felt relieved. English was no longer something I can't do, but just like a sport. Practice a lot and you will be good at it. 2. The second problem, vocabulary. I just learned it and forgot it. After practicing pronunciation, Emily opened a list of basic words: name, live, like, want, need, today, tomorrow. Emily asked, "Lynn, you know these words, right?" Lynn nodded confidently, but 5 minutes later when Emily asked again, "Okay, what does need mean?" Lynn was silent. She tried to remember, but the more she tried to remember, the more empty her head became. Lynn wanted to cry. She blamed herself. Why can't I remember after studying? People learn one word and remember it for a lifetime. I forgot it in 5 minutes. Emily tilted her head to look at her, as if she could read her mind. It's okay. Your brain just needs context, not lists. Context? Lynn asked. Emily explained. When you learn words alone, your brain forgets. When you learn words inside a story, your brain remembers. She reopened the passage from earlier. Anna lives in London. She likes books. Lynn, when you see a word in a story, it will automatically remember it longer. Emily was right. When she reread the story, Lynn remembered the word much faster, even though she had only seen it 1 or 2 times. Lynn thought to herself, maybe I'm not bad. It's just that I studied the wrong way before. 3. Grammar nightmare. Lynn's biggest obsession. But the real difficulty came at night. Lynn sat studying alone, opening the thick grammar book her mother gave her before she left for the U.S. The first page was tenses: present simple, present continuous, past simple, past cont. Lynn looked at it and felt dizzy. Each table, S plus Y, yes, do, does, am is are, Ving was were plus Ving. Dozens of structures were tangled up. She felt like the whole world was revolving around her. No, I can't learn this. She slammed the book shut, holding her head with both hands. Her head was pounding. Grammar for Lynn was like a long nightmare since middle school and high school. And now when she faced it again in America, she felt more scared than ever. Emily knocked on the door and walked in. Lynn, are you okay? Lynn sighed. Emily, grammar. It's too much. I can't. If it were anyone else, they would say, try hard, study. You have to grasp grammar to be able to speak. But Emily sat down, put her hand on Lynn's hand, and said softly, Lynn, listen. You don't need grammar first. You need English first. English? First? Yes. You need to listen, speak, read, use English first. When your brain gets used to it, grammar will flow in automatically. Then Emily gave an example. When you say, I go to school, native speakers will understand. Later, when you are familiar with English, you can correct it to, I go to school. That simple truth stunned Lynn. For years, she thought that learning English meant learning grammar. The more the better. But Emily broke that belief with just one sentence. Grammar should support communication, not block it. 4. The first failures. The falls that made her want to give up. But despite Emily's encouragement, Lynn's journey was not easy. On the third day in America, she went to a restaurant to order food. The seller asked, "What can I get for you?" Lynn wanted to say, "I'll have a chicken sandwich without onions." But in her mind, chicken without onion or no onion, sandwich, chicken, no onion, how say, she stammered. Chicken? No, no onion. The seller frowned. What? Lynn blushed. She tried to say again, "I want chicken sandwich. No onion. Please." The seller understood. But in that moment, Lynn just wanted to disappear from the world. She sat at the table, her head bowed, tears falling on her napkin. The people around her talked naturally, laughed freely, but she, just ordering food, was difficult. 5. The moment of self-reproach and what held Lynn back. That night, Lynn video called her mother. She tried to smile, but her eyes were red. "Are you okay, Lynn?" "Yes, I'm fine." "Are you okay?" "Yes." But Mom saw everything. Lynn's eyes said everything she hid. "Lynn, it's okay if you're not good right away. You go alone. You're much stronger than me." That sentence made Lynn cry, but this time it wasn't tears of weakness. It was tears that made her stronger. After turning off the phone, Lynn looked in the mirror. Her face was